When I wake up, first thing I do, eggs.
Welcome to the many interpretations of Struthiomimus, an ornithomimid that lived in the late Cretaceous about 77 million years ago in what is now North America. And also our second ornithomimid, which I'm pretty excited about. This is also one of my wife's favorite dinosaurs, so it's an automatic win. There's not a lot of depictions of it, unfortunately, but the ones that we do have a consistent theme, and you'll see that when we get into that. So without further ado, let's get right into it. First up, there's Planet of Dinosaurs. So we have a stop motion, Struthiomimus, something that I always love to see. I think the stop motion is always really cool. There's just something that's really awesome about old filmmaking techniques, that I just love to see. Is, their attempts at creating dinosaurs and on-screen creatures. I don't know, it's just awesome. We have this fellow right here that seems to have the basic body plan of a Struthiomimus, that being the longer neck with the relatively small head, decently long arms, pretty big and muscular legs, and a decently long tail. But of course, it is featherless, which is to be expected for something like this, because I believe that this was released in 1977. Feathers were far from accepted at that point in time. Like, you were guaranteed to see some naked dinosaurs at that point in time. It's still very cool, though. It's always really cool to look back at those older depictions, especially to compare them to the ones that we have today. See how much our idea of these creatures had changed over time with new fossil discoveries. Next up is Dinosaur! Exclamation point. Now, this is the same thing. It is stop motion, done by Phil Tippett, so of course it's amazing. This Struthiomimus raids a hadrosaur nest, takes an egg, and then gets hunted by some Deinonychus. Again, the stop motion looks amazing. It's just very fluid and just really awesome to watch. The Struthiomimus, again, is very consistent in terms of its skeletal anatomy. It's kind of, very reminiscent to an ostrich, just with longer arms and claws and a longer tail. Hence the name Struthiomimus, which translates to ostrich mimic. But the head looks pretty good. It's got pretty huge eyes and everything. And of course, it still does lack feathers. Again, something that is to be expected. Now, as I mentioned, we do see it go after an egg. What exactly was the diet of Struthiomimus? Well, given the structure of its beak and its overall head, it seems likely that it was an omnivorous animal with an emphasis on the herbivory. Like, it probably spent most of its time eating vegetation, more so than like actual meat or anything like that. But it still did likely eat some meat every once in a while, like small lizards or maybe small mammals, or even the occasional egg from time to time. So this portrayal is probably not too far from being accurate. Very cool stuff in terms of the animation. After that is the dinosaurs. Once again, with a naked Struthiomimus. And in fact, all of these seem to have kept a consistent color, which is just interesting. It's that sort of tan orangish sort of coloration. Anyway, the neck and the head all look very similar to the ones we've seen before. The arms look pretty good, though they are folded underneath the body. With their palms facing down. That's something that they could not do. And they are a little bit shrink wrapped, as when you see a close-up of the head, you can see the fenestra through the skin. So they're pretty thin animals overall. These guys are also going after eggs, which again, that is probably something that they would have done from time to time. It just wouldn't have been their primary food source, of course. That kind of rhymed. That's fun. After that is The Land Before Time. Everybody knows this one. We have Ozzy and Strut, the two Struthiomimuses, and the only ones that actually refer to themselves as their generic name in the song. Ozzy says that, he calls himself a Struthiomimus.
This Struthiomimus.
At least I think that they're the only ones. They're the only ones out of all the movies that I remember seeing. So there are still some movies I haven't seen. So if I'm incorrect, be sure to let me know. These fellas also go after eggs. They have a whole song about it. Ozzy has a whole song about it. It's very iconic. It's pretty much become a meme by this point, which is kind of strengthened by the fact that we've already seen a few egg-gnatching portrayals in the previous depictions. So that's fun, I guess. They are still featherless, unfortunately, but they have that same basic body plan that we've been seeing time and time again, even have the beaks. Their fingers are actually a little bit longer as well. What's interesting about Struthiomimus fingers is that their first digit was likely independent, of course, but the second and third fingers are actually the same length. It's actually possible that they had some skin that would connect them, so it kind of looked like Struthiomimus had two fingers. This is something that would help support the feathers on their arms, which is just an overall very cool thing. Also, the colors of these guys is really interesting, and I like how it's shown that Strut wants to eat more vegetation, but Ozzy's just like, no, we're all about those eggs, man. We're just gonna eat eggs. That's all we're gonna eat. I also like that we see a Struthiomimus in the very first Land Before Time movie, and it goes after an egg. It's crazy. Disney's dinosaur. So we have these fellows right here that are also naked. Just so many naked Struthiomimuses. Never before have I seen so many portrayals of a dinosaur that was feathered so naked. Aside from that, they still have the same basic body plan that I've been talking about. They are pretty thin overall, and their legs do seem kind of small, but their heads look pretty decent, and yeah, you know, they're just missing those feathers. They're just missing those son of a gun feathers. That's all of like the on-screen appearances, like the movies and shows and documentaries and things like that. Not a single feather had shown up in that whole thing. That's insane. Struthiomimus was a feathered dinosaur, and it's just so crazy to see it so naked for so long, you know? I mean, to be fair, a lot of those were a lot of older depictions, so, you know, they're a product of their time, and, you know, a lot of them, again, feathers were just not as widely accepted as they are today. Still, kind of hurts my soul. But we'll go ahead and move on to the video games. Starting off with the Jurassic franchise video games with Jurassic Park 3 Park Builder. We have these naked fellows right here with more of a purple coloration and that same basic body plan that I've been speaking about. Very cool. And, whoa, they are running fast. Here are the cow. Okay, stop. I command thee to stop. They were really going. Here's the Struthiomimus from Jurassic World Evolution 2. You know, they're fine, of course. You know, they're pretty naked, which to be expected. They have decently small hands, and the placement of their arms just feels a little bit off. They also, like, their posture is really interesting as well, as they kind of hold their tail up. Which, I mean, I don't know how far off that would realistically be. They get some pretty cool colors, and the shape of their head looks pretty good. The whole shape of their body looks pretty good. You know, there's some decent things about them. And they're certainly, like, my wife's favorite creature in the game. But I like the way that they move, though. The animations look pretty decent with the way that they move. I like how they're all kind of, you know, flocking. There's two separate groups. It's going to be a civil... Whoa. And then there's the middleman. But yeah, you know, they're good. They're good. They still stick to that Jurassic Park style. Like they kind of match up with the Jurassic Park Gallimimus a little bit more, which certainly makes sense. But you know, we've just been seeing so many plucked ornithomimids recently. It's just insane. You look majestic like that with that ring around you. But yeah, that's the Jurassic World Evolution 2 Struthiomimus. In Jurassic World Alive, we have some feathers. We have feathers. We have feathers. Feathers. Sorry, I almost lost my cool for a second, but we have feathers. Look at them. And they actually look really good, too. Jurassic World Alive actually has some really cool, like, unique dinosaur designs, and Struthiomimus is one of those. The coverage of feathers look great. I love how the legs are exposed, which is very ostrich-like. I love the way that the tail fan looks, and I love the feathers that sit on its hand. Also, the coloration of the feathers look really cool as well, and the whole body structure looks incredible. This one is a very good design, and is probably the most accurate one that we've seen so far. And it comes from a Jurassic franchise project. Go figure. The same exact thing can be said about the one from Jurassic World, the game. Look at this thing. Look at those feathers. That's all I want in life. That's literally all I want. It starts off with some relatively dull coloration, but then the more that you level it up, it gets like an iridescent sheen. I love it. It looks beautiful. Let's keep up with this. Let's stay in the same vein, all right? Oh my gosh, we stayed in the same vein. That's exactly what I'm talking about. So this is the Path of Titans, Struthiomimus. And of course, it is among one of the best on this list. The feathers are all looking fantastic. The whole structure of the body looks incredible. The head looks really good. Indeed. And I really like this little structure it has down here. It all looks really cool. You get Altus right here. You get Plumus. And then you get Calvidius. And back to Altus, which Altus is probably my favorite. Which, by the way, Altus is the specific, you know, the species name for Struthiomimus. It's seriously a really nice model, though, and the animations that go behind it are also really great as well. I also like that you can kick. I'd say that ornithomimids were probably pretty decent kickers. I mean, I've mentioned it in probably a couple other depictions so far, but they do have like these pretty big ostrich-like legs, and ostriches are really good at kicking. Well, actually, ratites in general are pretty good at kicking. That paired with the fact that they have these huge claws means that they could probably disembowel something that's chasing them. Like, I mean, of course, they were built for speed and built for running, which means that they were likely pretty decent at running from any predators. But if they were backed into a corner, or if you know, the moment called for it, they could probably kick whatever's trying to attack them. That's why it's really unfortunate that in some games and some depictions, you often don't see these guys fighting back. When an animal is put in that position, it will likely fight back, and we just don't see a lot of it with creatures like Struthiomimus here, which is one of the reasons why I like Path of Titans. So yeah, that is the Path of Titans Struthiomimus, a very good one, I think. And now, it is a floating Struthiomimus. You gotta love it. And there we have it. Those are our depictions of Struthiomimus, the old ostrich mimic. As I said, there's not a lot of them, and it's mostly just naked portrayals. And there's not a lot of feathers here, which is just so insane for a dinosaur that's named the ostrich mimic. That's just insane. But the ones that did have feathers looked great, and they were pretty spot on to our idea of what the feathers would look like on ornithomimids like Struthiomimus. So amazing job to those people. And of course, that doesn't really discount the ones that came before that. Again, there's a lot of reasons why some of those would be naked. It's just so insane to see how long it took before like our idea of dinosaurs shifted and the media started to reflect that shift. You know, it's just, it was certainly a slow process, as you can see. And I think Struthiomimus is a great example of that slow process. But what was your guys' favorite? And are there any that I don't really know about that you know about that you want to show everybody else? Be sure to let us know in the comments down below. But if you like dinosaur related content, please consider subscribing. I would absolutely love to have you on board. Thank you so much to all my patrons and my channel members. You guys are all helping out tremendously, and I appreciate all of you. If you want to help support me and the channel, of course, the link is down below in the description. But until next time, thank you guys so much for watching, and have an awesome day.